Ladies and gents, thank you for joining me here today. Well, as some of you who have been following along for a little while might already know, I'm getting ready to run the 2023 Melbourne Marathon. It's been a little while since I've trained consistently in the manner that I have been. Now, I was a professional or almost professional, I should say, middle distance runner back from about 2009 to about 2013, but I've been involved in the sport since the year 2000. I just turned 13, and while I was competitive and while I loved the sport, I took some time away in 2014 to go and pursue a little dream to play football here in Australia. After that, my original love has kind of returned, and I've found myself, after my first marathon 5 years ago, bitten by the marathon bug, and as a result, I haven't trained this consistently, this focused for quite a few years, and it's been a lot of fun. Recently, I was on YouTube, and I was watching through one of Nick Bear. Nick Bear's a popular YouTuber, like a fitness YouTuber. He's, I think it's just like wellness, overall wellness. I don't know a lot about the guy, but I saw that he's got a pretty good base of fitness. He's both strong and he's aerobically fit, and recently ran a 2:48 marathon, and he chronicled his journey towards the marathon that he ran. Really impressive video work, really impressive story, really impressive training. He's just got a really impressive approach to fitness, which I love. And one of the videos that he did was to walk through 10 of his favorite accessories when it came to his running. I thought, well, that's a really interesting topic, because with so many different people, there's so many different approaches and so many different things that we love. So I thought I would add a little bit of color to the conversation and speak about some of my own things. Before I do, I wanted to let you know that we have recently launched our brand new Relax Running Training Hub. Now, here's the goal with it. We want to give you the cheapest possible entry into what is a one-stop shop for all things running. So it's $5 US a month. And within that, you get bonus podcast episodes or bonus conversations with podcast guests. We're going to be starting that on Monday with one of Australia's top marathon runners, Lisa Waitman. Really excited to have a chat to her. Beyond that, you'll get full access to Relax Running training programs from 5K, 10K, half marathon, marathon, and beyond. All of those programs are tailored for beginner, intermediate, and advanced runners. We've got an Experts Corner library where we'll chat to other people in the scene, asking them Training Hub member questions. And we've also got a support crew. So as a result of being a part of that crew, one of the luxuries that I've had through this podcast is had the opportunity to meet some incredible people and tap in some incredible minds. So I've reached out to a few of these guys, and they've offered members of the Training Hub discounted prices for their services. So at the moment, we've got physiotherapist Dane Verway, who's a part of that. We've got Precision Hydration, who's another part of that. Beyond that, we're in the process of having a chat with quite a few others. So make sure you jump on board. Good news is, regardless of how many resources, no matter how big that library gets, you'll never pay more than $5 a month. So I've linked that in the description below for those of you who are interested. But for today, let's jump into it. I'm going to talk you through my top 10 favorite running accessories. In no particular order, I should clarify. All right, let's kickstart with one of my favorites. And I've been using something similar to this for the last 10 to 15 years, more specifically when I was racing. Now, we recently had Patrick McCowan from the Oxygen Advantage on the show, and we're speaking about the benefits of nose breathing over mouth breathing. It's a really interesting episode, and one which offers a lot of thought to, or a lot of... it's just a different voice. It's a different perspective on what leads to elite performance. So I'll link that show in the description. But throughout that show, one of the things that we spoke about was one of the most common problems that athletes have when it comes to nose breathing is we've either got a blocked nose, one of our nostrils is blocked, we've got deviated septums. There's a limited nose flow, airflow through one of our or both of our nostrils. As a result, Patrick McCowan's come up with a nasal dilator. Now, in full disclosure, I haven't used this, but I used to use something called a Breathe Right strip. So the Breathe Right strip was just had like a little bit of flexi wire through the middle of it. You'd put it over the top of your sinuses, and it'd expand the nostrils or the nasal holes there, which even if you have a deviated septum, really helped with the oxygen flow through your nose, which is really beneficial to those athletes who not only want to breathe through their nose, even athletes who simply want to feel good when they're out there running around. Highly recommend this. I'm in the process of, I think they're only $15. You can get the nasal dilator from the Oxygen Advantage website. The reason I'm all over that is purely because of the conversation I had with Patrick. He was a really professional, really switched on guy on the subject of nose breathing and how to achieve it effectively. And so I'm going to give these a go. I felt so much better in my running days when I used to have the nasal strip over. But the problem was when you got sweaty, sometimes you would lose grip and halfway through a race it would come off. The beauty with the nasal dilator, from what I hear, is that it actually attaches to the inside of your nose. I don't know exactly how it works, and it pushes out. I've read some of the reviews. It's got really, really favorable reviews. I've had a couple of sinus surgeries as well. I used to have a pretty bad allergy to dairy. Until I cut that out, I was constantly toying with things to see an improvement in my nose breathing. So this has been one of the game changers. I'm really excited to see what the next phase of that. But this is going to be a really crucial part of my training. The second thing is, and I've spoken about this in a little more detail on a number of other podcasts, and we've had Andy Blow on the show from Precision Hydration. But Precision Hydration has partnered up with me to offer a range of products to help navigate the fueling. Now, they have been a sponsor of the show, but they're a sponsor of the show because I love their products. So I'm not plugging them because of the fact they're a sponsor. They're a sponsor because I plug them. Precision Hydration looks at our individual sweat rate. They've got a free sweat test, which you can take over at their website. Now, it's going to ask you a few questions about what you're training for, the distance of the race, the temperature of the race, your sweat rate. And through those questions, it gives you a little bit more clarity on what kind of sweater you are. I'm a fairly heavy sweater, and training for a marathon, it's really important that I'm not only replacing the sugars, but I'm replacing the salts that I'm losing. So Precision Hydration have hooked me up with a little formula, a little secret package to help make sure that I'm fueled going into each and every long run, but also the race day. That was one thing that I completely overlooked in my first marathon. I was just trying to stay hydrated with water. And as a result of trying to stay hydrated with water, I felt as though I was hitting the hydration levels. I was drinking 2 to 3 liters of water a day, but I think a number of the important ingredients that should be within that water were missing. And as a result, later in the stages, especially of my marathon race day back in 2018, I really started to struggle. So this is one area that I'm excited to be focusing on in a little bit more detail, excited to learn more about. So that's a crucial ingredient to my running training. The next thing is my Garmin Forerunner 45S. Now, there are so many different Garmins out there. There are a number of different options that you have to choose from. Essentially, for me, I wanted the lowest possible point of entry. All I need a Garmin for is I want to know how long I've been running for, the pace that I'm running for, and I want to be able to get interval splits. That's all I need. I don't need notifications. I don't need text messages. I don't want one of these futuristic watches to do all of those things. However, I guess it's a luxury to have that. I bought mine secondhand for 160 Aussie dollars. I'm actually waiting for it to come now. I've had one in the past and was a really big fan of it. I sold it when I wasn't competing. To date, I've just been using my phone to do the pacing and the splits and things, but because I'm running so much more now, it's become a little bit of a hassle. So looking forward to getting that. I'm hoping just quietly it comes in the mail today. That's a really beneficial thing to have. I just like the clarity of it. I like how easy it is to connect with Garmin. I like how easy it is to connect with Strava. And I also just like being able to run along and not have to take anything out of my pockets to see how it is that I'm tracking along if I'm interested in the pace that I'm running. The next thing, which is a funny one, was actually a gift to me. It's this running hat. Now, this is, for those of you who are near me, you might recognize this logo. That is the Barwon Heads Golf Club logo. I went for a run with a friend a while ago, and before we left, his dad said, "You need a hat, put this one on." And I said, "Hey, Dean, I don't want a hat, mate. I'm going to be fine without it." He goes, look at my skin. Chuck a hat on, mate. He's 65. He reckons he'd been in the sun for too long, so I chucked it on. It is made by a brand called Imperial Sports. I've got absolutely nothing to do with Imperial Sports, but it's a really lightweight mesh hat. I don't know what it is. I hate the feel of having my hair bounce around on top of my head when I run. So either I need a regular haircut, or this hat is absolutely wonderful. It's light, it's breathable, it feels good. It absorbs sweat well, as strange as that sounds. It doesn't get really heavy and uncomfortable when you sweat. So really, really beneficial little addition to my training. I wear this on most days, like especially if it's windy and my hair's, I know, I sound like I'm complaining. If my hair's getting in my eyes or any opportunity that the hair might get in my eyes or just feel uncomfortable, this goes on, which is most runs. I'm a backwards hat wearer. I don't like the feel of wearing it forward unless I've got the glare in my hair. Wonderful addition. Imperial Sports, congratulations, fantastic. If you're watching this on, or if you're listening to this audio, jump across to YouTube so you can see the hat that I'm talking about. I want to go and get some more. I hope they're still in stock. Barwon Heads Golf Club, congratulations. That's a really good addition. The other one that I'm a big fan of now, I wish I could tell you the name of these specific shorts, but these are a pair of Lululemon shorts. Now, what I like about these is they've got a couple of features. Like I explained about the hat, they're light, they're breathable. They've got this meshy, like jocks kind of thing going on. So you don't need to wear jocks underneath it. I'm a bit of a jock wearer. I just find it more comfortable when I've got that. What I love about these shorts at the moment, because I hadn't had the Garmin, and I often like to listen to music when I run, it's got a built-in little phone pocket that you can tuck in there. And I'd been using the headphones just with the cord. I'm trying to show you the phone pocket here, but I'm having a little bit of trouble. There we go. So you can tuck your phone in there and your headphones with the cord, if you're still rocking old school headphones, can feed through and under your shirt up into your ears. Really, really good. They're pretty short. They come in, I think there's like a 12-inch and an 8-inch length. I reckon I got the 12-inch ones. I like them a little bit longer. I'm probably going to get myself a pair of tights. I used to always enjoy the tight running shorts back in the day when I was competing seriously. Despite having monstrous quads, I just felt them good. It's really good when you start to chafe, which, to be honest, I haven't had a lot of problems with, but over the course of the longer stuff, I'm expecting it to get a little bit difficult from time to time. However, being quite lucky, so maybe I'm being silly jumping from what's already working. The other thing that I want to recommend is a pair of socks that I'm absolutely obsessed with. I really like this. I don't really have trouble with blisters, though I have on occasion. And through my research, the highest recommended sock that I saw was the Steigen socks. Now, Steigen is a popular brand here in Australia. I think they run one or maybe two different meets. Really, really highly respected brand amongst runners. Now, I don't know too much about where they ship to. If they ship internationally, I assume they would, because Australia, your market's fairly limited over here. But Steigen socks, they're just a really comfortable, I don't know how else to explain it. How do you explain a good pair of socks? They fit your feet right, they hug, they don't allow blisters from my experience, they're breathable. I hate it when you start to get a little bit sweaty or your feet get wet and then you just feel like you're running in gumboots for the remainder of the run. These socks, you have the opposite effect with. So if you haven't checked out Steigen, I'll link those in the description below for your interest. You can check those out. Hopefully, wherever you are in the world, they'll ship to you. The other thing is foam roller. Now, this here is a foam roller, and I'm mentioning price and how cheap these are because I know sometimes money can be a little bit of a blockage to your ability to enter. This, I'm pretty sure, I've had this for a few years. I think I got this from an op shop, or I got it real cheap from Kmart or something. Foam rollers are one of the most amazing investments because if you want to get a massage once or twice a week, you're looking at $100 or $200 to be able to get a good one. Now, while it's nice to have that physical touch aspect of it, if you're a little bit of a physical touch man like me, sometimes it's nice for a person to just be there, have a chat with them, you talk about what's actually causing you the issues with any injuries or pain that you might have, and they can focus on that specifically. These foam rollers are a great addition. There's a couple of really good classes on YouTube as well where they guide you through effective ways to work up your body from your calves to your ITBs to your quads. I always put myself through the little bit of the hurt. What's that expression? I put myself through the barrier of hurt. That I'm pretty sure I've got that completely wrong. I jump on the foam roller, I feel the pain, and I'm often grateful that I did. If you've been listening to a couple of these podcasts recently, you might have heard me speak about the fact that I've been struggling a little bit with calf strains and calf tightness. I've been jumping on these on a really regular basis, almost daily, which I'm not sure is a little bit too much. But as a result, I always feel as though I'm beneficial or I've benefited as a result. Often, because my calf pains have been a problem, I'll do a little bit of skipping, I'll jump on there. I'm trying to both strengthen and relax my calves at the same time, just to welcome them back to the world of more competitive running. So that's been a really great addition. If you haven't got a foam roller, or you don't want to invest a couple of $100 a week or a month on massages, it's a great investment. You can get them at Walmart, you can get them at Kmart, you can get them at most op shops. Jump on Marketplace, they'll have them there. What do we got? We got 3 to go. All right. I mentioned this briefly before. Strava. Strava has been one of the most, I'm looking for my phone to show you, been one of the most amazing tools. I really enjoy being able to just scroll back and have a little bit of a look through how many Ks I've been running, the pace that I've been running, how I felt on those runs. I also keep a personal training diary where I just write down the run that I did, the pace that I did, and any pain or discomfort or any like real flow state that I had going on. I might talk about my food. I just enjoy the actual journaling process of it. So it sounds like I'm trying to be professional. I'm not necessarily. I'm trying to break 2 hours 40 for the marathon. Eventually, I'd like to go much quicker than that, assuming I'm still enjoying it. I just like to keep track of what's working and what's not. And also just to keep track of any potential injuries. Like, I don't want to get 6 months in the future and be like, hey, where did this calf strain come from? And realize that, oh no, for the last 6 months, I've been navigating my way through calf tightness and things. So I just find it a really effective tool. Strava, it's also a great way to connect with other friends. One of my mates used to say that Strava is his favorite form of social media. And I kind of get it. It's inspiring to jump on there, see what your mates are doing, how fast they're running. It can be a little bit of a detrimental tool sometimes if you allow it to be, in the sense that sometimes people will jump on there and they'll think, okay, well, I ran this pace last week. It means I need to run faster this week, which if you're doing an easy run is no good for anyone. So as long as you can use it for what it is, like an effective way to measure your training and not get too OCD about it, highly recommended tool. I love to run with my phone. I mentioned the shorts that I run in has a little pocket that you can carry it in. The reason I love to run with my phone, sometimes, not all the time, but if I'm going out for a long run and I'm by myself, I'll chuck on a podcast. I'm a big fan of audiobooks, so sometimes I'll go out there and I'll just have an audiobook going. And it's nice every now and then, especially on those days that we all have where you can't really be bothered getting out the door. I always like the idea that I'm working out my body. I'm hopefully working out my mind as well. I find it easy to focus on music and books and things like that as I run. It just helps me switch off and go to another place, which is a real benefit in the training aspect sometimes. So between podcasts, audiobooks, and music, I'm pretty happy. I've got to be careful. I'm very responsive to the music that I listen to, and sometimes I'll be going out for an easy run and I'll put on, there's a band I love called Hermanos Guterres that I heard about on the Tiny Desk studio concerts. And these guys, they just play guitar, but there's something about their music where I start listening, I just get into a flow and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm running so much faster than I need to be now. So as long as I'm paying attention to what it is I'm actually doing and how fast it is I'm running and things like that, and don't get ahead of myself, that's also really beneficial. So my phone, controversial for some people, but for me, it's a great little addition. The last thing I wanted to talk to you about is this little ice massager thing that you might have seen before. Now, this is starting to melt. I don't know why I saved this one till last. But essentially, inside this cup here, if you can see, let me get the sun on there. See, it's got ice. It's got ice in there, essentially. So you can see the big ice block. It's in a little paper cup. The beauty with that is you can peel around this paper cup. And as I mentioned, I've had a little bit of calf inflammation or a little bit of calf tension and some pain around my Achilles. So after each run, I'll just sit down with this little ice cup and I'll just rub up and down my Achilles or my calf or any tender points just to try and help alleviate some of that pain and inflammation. It's really great. It's a real cheap entry. Yesterday, I went down to the petrol station and you're paying $5.50 for a bag of ice now. So I got a bag of ice. I put it in a clean little bin we have at home and stood in that for 15 minutes. That's great. In my opinion, this does just as much as that. Like, it really targets any sensitive point. So, hey, that's been a really great addition to my training program as well. I know there's so many different things that you guys would love. So if you're on YouTube, let me know in the comments below. If you're listening to this podcast, shoot me a message over at Instagram. Hey, also, even if you leave a little review, if you've been listening to the podcast for a while now, one of the best things you can do to let me know you like it is give it a 5-star review, leave some positive feedback on the review. It really helps people who are interested in the world of running access this just by pumping it up the podcast list. I don't really understand how the algorithm works, but that seems to be what a lot of successful podcasters say. So that would be really great. But guys, that's all I wanted to share with you today. I hope it's beneficial. As I said, if you're on YouTube, hit like, hit subscribe. If you're not on YouTube, jump across there. We just passed the 6,000 followers mark. So we're starting to get a little bit of traction at YouTube. So the videos are still improving as we go. But hey, if you're a videographer, jump over there and give me some tips. Everything would be greatly appreciated. That is enough from me. I hope your training's going well. Thanks for joining me today, and I'll speak to you all really soon.